Gather around, my friends, for I have a tale to tell that will chill you to the bone. Turn the lights off. Close your eyes. And just listen to me. It is a story of isolation, of an abandoned castle, and of a young girl who lived there with her husband. The castle had been vacant for years, a silent sentinel looming over the surrounding countryside. Its once grand halls now lay empty and decayed, and the brambles and weeds grew unchecked along the gravel path that led to its front door. One day, a young woman received a request from her husband, a paranormal investigator, to accompany him on a journey to this abandoned castle. Despite her trepidation, she agreed to go, eager to support her husband in his work. As they entered the castle's decaying halls, the young woman couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. Shadows flitted across the walls, and whispering voices echoed through the empty corridors. Despite her unease, the couple pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets of the castle. Room by room, they explored its dark corners, the eerie silence broken only by the occasional creak of floorboards and the rustling of their own footsteps. But as they delved deeper into the castle, the paranormal activity began to escalate. Strange orbs of light flickered in the darkness, and the whispers grew louder and more insistent. The young woman could feel her heart pounding in her chest, her breaths coming in short gasps. And then, they heard it. A low growling sound, like an animal in pain, emanating from somewhere deep within the castle. The young woman's husband urged her to stay put as he went to investigate, but she couldn't bear the thought of being left alone in this haunted place. As her husband disappeared into the darkness, the young woman could feel her fear mounting. Shadows seemed to swirl around her, the whispering voices growing louder and more frantic. And then, a figure appeared before her, shrouded in darkness and shadow. The young woman tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. As the figure drew closer, the young woman could make out its features more clearly. Its face was twisted into an expression of pain and anguish, and its eyes glowed with an eerie red light. The young woman felt a wave of fear wash over her as she realized that she was face to face with a ghost. The ghost reached out a spectral hand towards the young woman, causing her to shrink back in terror. But then, to her surprise, the ghost began to speak. Its voice was a low, guttural growl, and the young woman could barely make out its words. "Leave this place," the ghost hissed. "You do not belong here. None of you do." The young woman was confused. What did the ghost mean by none of you? As if in answer to her unspoken question, the ghost began to move towards the door leading out of the room. The young woman watched in horror as the ghost passed through the door, disappearing from sight. Suddenly, the young woman heard a sound behind her. She whirled around, her heart pounding in her chest, and saw that the shadows on the wall had begun to move. The shadows coalesced into the shapes of people, all whispering to each other in hushed tones. The young woman couldn't make out what they were saying, but their voices were filled with a sense of urgency and desperation. As the young woman watched, the shadows began to move towards her. She tried to run, but found that her feet were rooted to the spot. She was trapped, surrounded by the whispering shadows. And then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the shadows dissipated into nothingness, leaving the young woman alone in the darkness. She stumbled backwards, her heart racing, and felt something brush against her leg. Looking down, she saw a small, ghostly hand reaching up towards her. The young woman let out a blood-curdling scream and ran towards the door, not stopping until she was outside the castle walls, gasping for breath. As she looked back at the castle, she could see the windows flickering with a ghostly light. She knew that she would never forget what she had seen that night, and that she would never be able to return to that place again. Moments later, her husband reappeared, his face pale and drawn. He had seen something in the darkness, something that he couldn't explain. And as they hurried back down the gravel path towards safety, the young woman knew that they had stumbled upon something truly terrifying in that abandoned castle. And the person running next to her is not even her husband. Just when she realizes it, her hands are tightened in that creature's hand. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for part 2.